My name is Jean. My friends on the Missouri Star Quilt Company quilt forum have dubbed me Jean, the Jelly Roll Queen. They know that I love using jelly roll strips to make jelly roll quilts, and I have figured out many ways of being able to use these strips to make different types of quilts and different sizes of quilts. In this particular video, I'm going to show you the basic method of how to construct a jelly roll quilt. We will make a small one, and then you can try making a small one and then eventually move to making a big regular lap size jelly roll quilt, or even maybe make one the size of your bed, like this one or like this one. I made these to fit my queen bed. When I first started making my jelly roll quilts, I fell in love with the process, because the beauty of jelly roll quilt making is the fact that it's a fast process to make a top. You can make a top in several hours. And if you get very, very good at it, you can even cut that down to making a top in less than an hour. I don't think I've ever made one in less than an hour, probably about an hour and a half for the basic quilt top. But nevertheless, it's fast, and if you need a quick gift or you need something for yourself in a hurry, jelly roll quilts are really an easy way to do that. Now, there's several YouTube videos out on how to do the whole process of doing something they call the Jelly Roll Race Quilt. And what some quilt clubs do is they have their people actually race to see who can make the jelly roll top get finished first before anyone else. One lady actually did it in 35 minutes. I can't even imagine being able to complete it in that length of time. Probably my fastest one that I've made, just making the top, is probably about an hour and a half. So, you know, you can make it in a day, get it quilted up, and get it sent to a friend for a gift, or maybe a quick baby shower gift. Just depending on what you want to do with it and what kind of fabrics you use. As you can see behind me, I have quite a collection of jelly rolls that I've purchased. To me, when I pick one up, like this one, it looks yummy enough to eat, almost like jelly donuts, which is something that I love. Different manufacturers decide how many of the strips of their collection they're going to put in a jelly roll. And usually this one is Fossil Fern, which is a really popular one to go with lots of different types of fabrics. They have 40 strips in this particular jelly roll. When you're making a good sized lap quilt for yourself or an adult, 40 strips is about the fewest that you want to use. So this size would be perfect for that. Now, different manufacturers do different things. Like this is Riley Blake. And Riley Blake, I believe they call those roly-polies, or they gave it some other name. This one's called Millie's Closet, and it has 28 pieces in it. The manufacturers are trying to standardize the number of strips that they put into these packages, and I believe they're all trying to standardize it to about 40 to 42 strips per roll. When I made my first jelly roll quilt, this one right here, it happens to have an environmental theme, and I threw in some batiks and some plain fabrics just to kind of give it a little bit more variety. I used a company called Strips, and I was really surprised to find out there was 50 strips in this package as opposed to the usual 40. There's not as great a variety of different types of fabrics or different patterns, but nevertheless you get a lot of strips. So you can use just the the Jelly Roll strips that come in a package, or you can combine them, or you can use yardage and cut your own Jelly Roll strips to make the kind of quilt that you want to make and to make it the size that you want to make it. I want to show you a couple of them that I've made to kind of show the process. This particular one was done with an inexpensive Jelly Roll. And I can't remember even where I purchased it, but it was very pretty colors that went together. But in the process of making your Jelly Roll quilt, first of all, you start by sewing all those strips together. And you have one great big long piece of fabric that's about 1,600 inches long. Seems like a lot. When you sew it together, if you use this angled seam like this right here, then it makes your seam joints much more interesting to look at. And when I quilted this one, I quilted it using a stitch in the ditch method, and I used a polyester, low-loft polyester batting, and it gives it a dimension, a kind of a puffiness, and it's kind of lightweight, and yet it's still kind of warm. So here's another way that you can quilt. This one is a fabric collection called Grow With Me, and it's kind of big for a baby quilt. I would say it's more like a toddler size quilt because I think it would fit a toddler bed perfectly. But when I quilted this one, I was practicing with a new long arm sewing machine that I had, and I used a meander stitch over it instead of the stitch in the ditch, so it has a little bit different look. Another thing that you can do is when you're putting your strips together, as I did in this quilt, which was a black and white collection called Aviary, I knew it needed a little pop of color, so I put the hot pink in, and instead of just doing my angled seams, which I did on part of it, every once in a while I threw in a hot pink square and kind of broke up that black and white that was in the middle. And to me, I think this turned out to be a stunning quilt. Also a little bit bigger because I added that extra fabric. I have two borders on this. So if I laid under it, you can see it's quite a bit at my feet. It would be a wonderful size for a really good lap quilt. One day I was feeling kind of sassy, and I had a pack of fabric called Sassy, so I threw together this particular quilt, and I used the all-over meander, no borders, and it was just kind of a fun quilt that I made. Made this one around Halloween, so it kind of has that Halloween look. And this particular one is made from a line called Fairy Frost. Fairy Frost comes in a pack where all the strips are different colors. When I arranged the strips to sew them together, I arranged them like you would see the spectrum of the rainbow. Starting out with the lights and the yellows, and then went to the oranges and the reds, and then the purple and the blue and the green. But when I finished it, you can see that it didn't end up being anything like a rainbow, because everything ends up very random when you are making a Jelly Roll quilt. Kind of unpredictable as to what your results are going to be. If you don't want to use the Jelly Rolls, you can use fabric or fat quarters to cut your own strips. I'm going to show you how to cut strips so that you can cut them straight, show you a couple of tools that you might like to use. And so then it gives it a little bit more variety because you have shorter strips. They're half as long as the regular Jelly Roll strips because a fat quarter is just half as wide as a piece of fabric is. But it still turned out to be a fun little quilt. I think I threw some yardage pieces in to make some longer pieces, but this one was kind of fun. So